So La Liga is over, and soon will be the rest of the domestic leagues. It is time to do the top 5 of this week. Starting with my favorite 11, and that doesn't mean they are the best out there. This is 11 of La Liga, but I would like to see what yours is. So please comment on it and give me your favorite 11. I will tell you mine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a separate video in which I'm going to explain why those are my favorite 11. And the next point of the top 5 will be my favorite young 11, but more on that later. Let me just give you my 11. Jan Oblak, solid, of course, at Atletico Madrid. Jordi Alba, no doubt the best left-back in La Liga. Gerard Piqué, who's had a fantastic season, will be partnering in the centre with Gené of Getafe. Pablo Sarabia, you have to give him space in your team, I think. Dani Parejo, who has shown not only, or confirmed, if you like, his class, but also a maturity and leadership of the pitch as well that has been very impressive. Wissam Ben Yedder, you have to give it to him. He just touches the ball and goes in. Jaime Mata, another scorer. In fact, I've got lots of scorers, goal scorers and strikers in the team. Borja Iglesias being the other one, of course. And Iago Aspas, who has been the soul of Celta, the one who saved Celta this season, really. And to me, with Messi, the two single players that have got the biggest influences in their team. And of course, Leo Messi. I'm going to give you the young 11 that from La Liga this is. These are under 21s that in my eyes have deserved to be mentioned. And what I'll do is a separate video as well just to explain why I think they've been superb this season. On goal, Unai Simon of Athletic Bilbao. Right back, one of the players to come through Girona that made it into the first team regularly, Pedro Porro, is only 19. Left back, okay, he's not a left back, started as such, but ended up as a left winger, but I want to put him into the team. That's Marc Cucurella, Eibar, on loan from Barcelona. I'm going to give central defender, mostly have been veterans, of course, at the back, but Francisco Montero from Atletico Madrid have impressed me. We go into the midfield, and Carles Aleñá has to be there, finally a regular in the collapse of the first team, and a first team player, not a Masia player, not a player from Barcelona B, but a regular first teamer, at least in the collapse. And he's been playing more minutes than ever before, 21 of course. Athletic Bilbao was impressed by Peruno Lascolain, who is can play centre defender, but mostly has played as centre midfield. Fran Beltran of Celta Vigo, even though he disappeared from the lineups at the end. Brahim Diaz was very impressive, of course. And you have to say that Samu Chukwueze, 19 as well, from Villarreal, has been, I'd say, brilliant and looked out by a lot of teams, including Manchester United. They've been keeping an eye on him. And Vinicius Jr. has to be there, of course, even though he has to improve on his finishing. And my striker is Cucho Hernandez of Huesca, who won't be there for long, I don't think, and he is on loan from Watford. That's my young 11. My third point has to be with the fact that the Champions League seems to affect absolutely everybody in a proportion that we've never seen before. And I understand that it's the glory title, if you like. It's the one that hides all the cracks. It's the one that makes everybody very excited and makes everybody very happy, because it kind of proclaims that that's the best team in Europe. I don't think it does that. What it does is that it gives you, makes you the winner of a cup competition. And as such, that is so random in many ways, and luck plays a huge important part. Where it plays less of a part, where the important thing is the work that you put every day, is in the domestic leagues. But if you go through them and the winners who have been the same ones in the top leagues as they were last season, PSG, Bayern, Juve, Manchester City and Barcelona, you will see that every single one of them has been affected by what happened in the Champions League. To a point where, apart from Pep Guardiola, everybody else has got a question mark over their heads in terms of the future. Tuchel, And Valverde, Allegri, of course, is gone, and Kovac as well. He's been questioned. And it all has to do with not the fact that they're dominating the local leagues, and this is not just money, what gets you there, but certainly a consistency and work is what takes you to win leagues. But you have to say that Barcelona have won 8 of the last 11. City have won the last 2, of course. Bayern Munich, I think they won the last 6. And I think Juventus have won the last 8. So you're talking about domination, which is, and PSG as well, apart from the one that they lost to Monaco. I think they also won most of the last 6 or 7. It's a domination that worries the owners and the rulers of those clubs that will win another competition that not so much challenges them, but can take that domination and make it more into money. Hence the European Super League, which we've spoken about. There's going to be big changes. We need to see which direction they're going to be taking, but there's going to be a lot of changes to do with a bigger Champions League, basically, in whatever format they decide to do it. But it is worrying that that we all want to see a Champions League winner to define who is the best around. Because you've seen what's happened. If you focus too much in the Champions League, have you looked at Real Madrid? 18 defeats this season, 19 points away from Barcelona. It was 17 last season. They've abandoned the work that you have to put in every day to actually focus in the Champions League. And of course, if you get knocked out as they did, then what? Well, in the case of Real Madrid, nothing. So there is a danger that teams will abandon the things that make them good, which is the regularity of effort and performances. I think Barcelona have got it all worked out from that point of view. They need to compete better in the Champions League, but you saw against Eibar in the last game of the season that there seemed to be a little bit of depression. Everybody was down. There was lack of intensity, and there is a cup final still to play with Valencia. But interesting times where the perception of who is the best has to do more with a competition than with the league. We have to look into Barcelona. Obviously, they have a cup final still to play. They won the league again, and all of a sudden it doesn't just feel enough. In fact, Bartomeu has wants Valverde to stay, and has said so publicly. But it is also the case that a bad defeat against Valencia may change things. The players are with Valverde, perhaps not in a loving way as they were last season. They felt that he was the right man. When that happens, when the players want the manager to continue, sometimes it has to do with the fact that they're comfortable, that they know who's going to play, that perhaps there is not so much of a challenge. That is players thinking of themselves, not so much of the team. Here, I can see what Valverde is trying to do with the side. I see that he's not making any revolution in terms of style. He's trying to play the best team that he's got available and to work around Messi. But we saw against Liverpool that Barcelona have actually now been left behind. In terms of dynamism, in terms of work without the ball, in terms of aggression without the ball, in terms of how the ball, how fast the ball gets moved around, youthfulness, energy, they have been left behind by English sides generally. Ajax also was a little bit like that. But you saw that Liverpool are at a completely different level. And how you recover that is by bringing young players, of course. And as you know, De Jong has been signed. They will like Griezmann, who PSG has said not interested, Manchester City have said not interested. And Barcelona expect him to sign for them. Everything in personal terms has been agreed. The problem is his buyer clause will be 120 in the 1st of July, so there is no point in announcing anything before that. So I think he will go to Barcelona, and then we'll see what happens with the Licht, which, as I said in another video, is up to Bayern, Juve, and Barcelona, especially Juve and Barcelona. Barcelona pays less, but they want to bring that kind of youthfulness, if you like. The problem is, with Luis Suarez and Messi not defending so much, it's very difficult these days to actually defend only with 8. because for Barcelona to actually be good, they have to defend high up the pitch. And if they don't have the players to do that, then they have to defend in their own backyard. And if that's the case, makes their life much more difficult because they don't have the pace and the dynamism in midfield with Rakitic, with Arturo Vidal, with an Arthur who's still very shy and is not putting the team on his shoulders. And of course with Busquets, who is in his 30s now. So there's a need of something there. Let's see if the young brings it. But Barcelona have to look very deeply into their situation and see how they can get the best out of Messi still, but make the team better generally. Quick word on Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid, of course, are going to have to look into new players. Juanfran is leaving. Felipe Luis, they're talking to, but probably will leave as well. Of course, Griezmann is leaving and Godin is as well. The situation of Godin is going to go to Inter. Atletico Madrid did not want to offer more than 1 year deal. Inter offers 3 and more money to him, so he'll go to Inter. He feels that the club haven't looked after him as much as they should after 9 years at the club, 8 titles. Fair enough, but Atletico Madrid have to become younger. Now they need to sign players. They have signed Felipe of Porto, centre-back, a mature centre-back, but a very, very good one. But they need much more than that. They need full-backs, centre-backs, and let's see what happens with Rodri. As we know, Manchester City are willing to pay his buyout clause. It's up to Rodri what he wants to do next. He will get better paid, certainly, at City, but he wants to hear from Atletico Madrid first. Marcos Llorente will be the preferred choice for Atletico Madrid in centre midfield if Rodri goes, but they're going to definitely have enough money with the money that will come, the 120 million that will come from Griezmann. Lucas Hernandez has gone as well. Is it 80 million? Generally, it's about 70 million from Rodri. So generally, put all that together means that they should be able to rebuild the side to Simeone's liking. Without Griezmann, they will need forwards too. They cost more, but what they need to sign is the Griezmann of Real Sociedad, that guy that's about to make it into the top 5 of Europe or the world. So that's what they're looking into. In the case of Real Madrid, I'm concerned, and I would be concerned if I was a Real Madrid fan, because what I'm seeing is a team lacking in energy, lacking lethargic, lacking in hunger, and big decisions will have to be taken. Can Zidane take them? They have renewed Kroos, so he's staying. But how about Isco? How about Marcelo? How about Marco Asensio? Yes, he's young, but has he given enough to the side? He probably will stay. I think he will. But Isco and Marcelo, really, you still want them? Modric, isn't it time to sell him? Don't you need, you've got Brahim and you've got Vinicius and Rodrigo is coming, and so is Militao, centre-back. So they kind of sorted in the centre-back position, but everywhere else, they just need something else. They have been a tired bunch, 18 defeats all season, 19 points away from Barcelona, simply not good enough, but it follows a trend, the trend of not working hard for the league. Zidane says this is the priority next season. We will see, because he's been damaged as well. This is a team that the projection of which would have been 58 points, which takes them, I think, to the Champions League as 4th, if the season, if with the points, the percentage of points that Zidane was getting. If he had been Solari, 83, by the way, they would have been 2nd to Barcelona. So Solari is the coach that understood better what was going on, because Lopetegui, understanding what was going on, was not able to actually make his impact, and also his projection would have been 53 points, and yes, simply not good enough. Transitions are always difficult, so that's my justification for Lopetegui's poor start. But Zidane, I just don't understand what he's been trying to do, because really the side has not replicated what he wanted. As he says, the way he trained, it seemed like they will play a good game and then they just don't. And he looked very clueless, if you like, that's the word, when he actually was saying at the end, it's not that we don't want to, it's that we can't. I don't know, he said, suggesting he doesn't know exactly why. He's never done this. He's never rebuilt a side. He's never started almost not from scratch, but certainly with a bunch of new players. He took a side that was very good and aside that the likes of Rafa Benitez had identified needed certain things like Lucas Vázquez and Casemiro in the middle, and basically Zidane continued with that platform, and you know what he did, of course. The last 3 Champions League have been won by Real Madrid, but it's in the league where they've been lacking. So the plan is to change all that, and you know the names that they've been talked about. Let me tell you the latest on Pogba. Zidane continues to say, is the one I want. He thinks that he may have actually play with 2 holding midfielders, Casemiro and somebody else in the middle, perhaps Fede Valverde, perhaps another one, and would allow Pogba to play in front of them. That will be the plan. Very expensive. Manchester United keep saying they're not selling. I'm starting to think that for the kind of profile of player that Solskjaer wants, Pogba, it's not needed. So if Real Madrid are serious about it and they want to put 160 million plus on the table, I wonder if Manchester United will basically listen, because the analysis of Pogba is that people don't know the real Pogba. What they see is the Pogba that posts things in the social media, etc. But generally, inside the camp, he's a good leader in good moments. Not so much a good leader in bad moments. And right now, what Manchester United needs is a leader that actually overcomes the difficulties and takes everybody in the direction that Solskjaer wants. I'm not sure Pogba is that kind of guy. And if he isn't, why will Manchester United keep him? So I'll leave that question mark out there, and I'll leave you with it because I've got to prepare myself for La Liga TV, for 5 Live, and a few other things that happened today. Big things. So keep subscribing. No, if you subscribe, you don't need to keep subscribing. Just keep watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.